Yeah, and it's not that everything becomes clearer for you, I would say. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you also get a lot more questions.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're different questions, and some questions are answered, some are still left unanswered, but surely you'll get more questions. But they will be different, and they will have a different character, and maybe I think you also gain clarity from understanding more, even though you get more questions, because you sort of, it becomes more clear to you what is the essential message and what is all these questions on the boundaries. And I think that can help you accept a great deal of more ambiguity and accept all those questions still remaining. That you sort of get hold on. Okay, what is the main message here? Yeah.
And I also think the questions are not a bad thing at all. I think asking questions is what any text we read is doing to us.
Yeah.
If you read a sports article, you ask questions. So what are they trying to say, or what is this? So it's all about like analysis. There's like the psychological game with like sports. So let's say like a cyclist is saying something and he's saying, "Oh, I've been injured, blah blah blah. I can't do it." But then it's maybe that's just like hiding what he actually knows already, and you have to interpret that. Not that is what happens to the Bible, but it's the same interpretation kind of like things that happens. So that happens in communication all the time.
Yeah, it's sort of inherent to language and.
And I think that the gospel wants us to think. The whole thing about it is like, it's for the first readers, I think, is that the author's intent was that I want you to think about this so that you can get to meet my Savior.
Yeah.
So you can meet Jesus and you can become a Christian as well.
Yeah.
And those questions that they ask is good. So I think asking questions is not bad at all.
No.
Yeah.
And sometimes I even see the New Testament authors, they're provoking us to ask questions by putting in seemingly contradictory stuff. The author of John's Gospel is doing this a lot. He's all the time putting in stuff that Jesus is saying, I will not go up to this festival, when he's talking with his brothers, I will not go to Jerusalem. Yeah. But then he goes up anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a seeming contradiction, and the author uses this a lot. He puts in seeming contradictions, and I think it's a way of trying to force us to reflect. Well, what does it mean to go up to Jerusalem? Maybe you can say in one way he went up, but he didn't go up to Jerusalem like that, what they expected when they said that question. When they asked him to. Yeah. So in one way he did, in one way he didn't.
Yeah.
But the author putting in this contradiction in the text obviously just wants us to think, well, what does it mean to go up to Jerusalem for Jesus?
Yeah.
So he's trying to push this question aside the table to us. And make us reflect. I think that is part of the strategy.
Yeah, and there's also that. I think that translation is not also, he says, "Oh, I'm not going up yet," in that text particularly. But there's also an element of what you just explained, that he's not going up in the way that they expected him to go up.
No.
So say, it's not my time yet, kind of. The same thing he does with the wine. He's saying, no, I'm not going to do anything because it's not my time yet.
Yeah.
But that is where he reflects on his death. Jesus is reflecting on his death, and that's like multiple layers of interpretation, as another episode with Andreas Brun. He also said that he deliberately seems to use the semantic range of the words more than like almost making it dubious, where you can almost understand it in two ways.
Yeah, and I would say again the point I see is the same, that he wants us to reflect. He wants his readers to wonder about these things.
Yeah. So now I also get curious. I want to circle back to Matthew. So what did you actually see that you had not noticed before?
I don't remember, to be honest, any particular things, but it was just many small details, I would say. It made an impression on me. Yeah. Also, just from reading it in Greek, but also that reading it in Greek forced me to read it very slowly.
Yeah, because I have a very vivid memory of that, actually, from just after our Greek exam.
Yeah.
I was reading through the Gospel of John, and I read through John chapter 3. In the end of John chapter 3, it talks about that those who have not received the Son, God's wrath will stay over them. And there was a particular phrase, I don't remember the phrase right now, but if I read the text again, it was like, I think it was about I think it actually was now when you talk about it, is that now that phrase, that those who do not receive the Son and do not believe in Jesus, they will not know the Father, or the wrath of God will stay upon them, and they will not see. So there's a seeing element in that text. They will not see him, and I did not see that, and I had not seen that before. I was like, is this really what is here? And it's like, oh, this is quite a strong idea of like actually seeing Jesus, seeing him and knowing him. And that if you don't have that, then the wrath of God remains over you, or remains upon you. And I remember that very vividly. And when I then looked in the Danish translation, it was exactly what was there. Like I just never seen it before because I read it slower.
Yeah.
That phrase just came to me in a way. I was like, wow, this is really how radical the gospel is.
Yeah.
And also how beautiful it is that we are saved. Despite not actually seeing. So lots of theological reflection as well that happened in that moment. Thank you for watching this clip. If you enjoyed it, you can find another one by clicking just over here. Or if you want to watch the full episode and dive a step deeper, you can find a link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.